What's up guys, it's MCJ, Matt Collins Jones here, back with another video on Power Automate, and today we are trying to solve a mystery. The mystery that I am talking about is the eternal mystery that is coming up on 21 years having not been solved, and that is, how did Kelly text Nelly from Excel? I know, I can't believe it's 2023 and we still haven't figured out this mystery, so that's what we're going to tackle today. We're going to look at the Excel triggers, we're going to figure out how to send an automated text message from Excel, and we're going to recreate that interesting dilemma video of texting someone from Excel. So let's get into it. Here we've got so I'm going to do this in two ways. So the first way is we're actually going to do a manual trigger. So we're going to trigger this manually from Excel, and we're going to send a message. So I've pre-built a flow at the moment. It's got a manual trigger, and this is a Excel for Business trigger. So it's looking at OneDrive for Business. You can use Excel Local for this, and it's the for a selected row trigger. Now the first thing to mention about this trigger is that you have to create it in the default environment for it to show up. It does not show up if you put it somewhere else other than the default environment. It's a bit of a limitation. We know we shouldn't really be using the default environment for stuff like this, but it's a limitation that Microsoft have in, and that's where we have to trigger this from. So if you don't see this trigger, or you don't see your flow in Excel, that'll be the reason, is it's probably not in the default environment. So this is my trigger. We need to give it a location, which is OneDrive for Business. We need to give it a document library, which is OneDrive. Then we need to tell it a file. So again, we've got Kelly msg2.xlsx, which I've put the root to that in here. And then we need a table as well. So we need to specify the table that we want to look at. So when we use the Excel trigger, we need to actually format things as tables so that they'll be able to be used later on. So that's my trigger. Next, what we want to do is we want to add a step in. So we'll click add a new step. We'll choose add an action. Have a compose block here just for adding in something into my flow. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for the Twillio connector. So Twillio is a company that they're not part of Microsoft. They are an independent company. They have their own business. They have a connector in Power Automate and the Power Platform that allows you to do things like send text messages. So that's the one we're going to use today. We're going to use Twillio, which is a service that you can connect to through the Power Platform to send a text message, because they're going to handle the telephone numbers, they're going to handle the text messages, they're going to handle all of it. But we're going to show you how this works. So we have three actions in Twillio: get message, list messages, and send text message SMS. And this is the one that we're going to choose here. Right, so this is my first time connecting this connector up, which means we're going to need to create a connection reference, which means we're going to need to authenticate. So we're going to need a connection name, so we'll call this the Twillio Nelly Kelly test. And then we need a Twillio account ID and the Twillio access token. So what I did is I went to the Twillio website and I signed up for a free developer account. You can do this, anyone can do this. You go in, you sign up, you specify what you want it for, within minutes you have the information. This is my Twillio account. So you can see, ahoy Matt, welcome to Twillio. We've got some details here. So all I've done before this video is I've set up a number. So you can, with a free developer account, you can set up a US or Canadian number. It'll generate one for free, and you can start sending text messages. So it's not perfect because it is in a different country if you're not based in the States. But it's a great way to get started, and you can, of course, pay money for this and unlock things like UK numbers or all the rest of the world numbers and do things like that. But as soon as I jumped in here, I basically didn't have to write any code. I didn't need to do anything. It's just a few clicks. I got a number, and then down here I've got my telephone number, and I've got my account SID and my auth token. So what I can do is I can copy my SID to my clipboard. I go back to my flow and copy that into there, and then I'll take my auth token, copy that, and I'll paste that into there, Then if I hit create, this is going to create my connection reference. It's going to authenticate me against the Twillio servers and allow me to connect. So instantly, it's giving me a couple options. It's telling me my 3 required fields, but it looks like it's all connected, it's all working. So I need to specify a from phone number. So for that, I'm going to choose my American phone number. So this is the one that's going to send the text message from. Then we need a to phone number. So I'm going to put my phone number in here. And then we need a text message to send. So in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some dynamic content. So I'm going to add dynamic content, and my trigger is going to actually send me some data. So it's going to send me text message, formatted text message, timestamp, user email, username, user ID. We're going to choose text message for this, and that's going to send the text message from inside of our Excel spreadsheet. I can click on show advanced options, and it's going to give me a couple of other options, things like, do I want to add media to this? You can specify things like status callbacks, service SIDs, application SIDs, max price, the maximum price limit for the message, so you can't send it if it's over a certain amount, and validity period. This is a really great connector. It's got really loads of use cases for sending text messages out and stuff like that. It's used by a lot of organizations. Twillio is a great service. They're not a sponsor of this video, but if they would like to be, let me know. So that's all we need. So what we'll do is we'll just delete this compose step. I just had this in here so I could save my flow. And what we'll do is we will save and we will test this out. So we'll hit save. And then we're going to go over to our Excel spreadsheet. So Excel is over here. And this is Excel Online. This is a document that is stored in my OneDrive, and therefore I have access to all the stuff that I usually have access to with OneDrive Online or Excel Online. Now, to use the Power Automate trigger, what you need to do is you need to go to the Insert tab, and then you go to the Add-ins section here. And we can see I've already installed my Power Automate add-in, so it's already there. But you can just go to the store, and you can search Power Automate, and hit Enter, and then you can see a list of add-ins. And we've added this one in here, Microsoft Power Automate for Excel, and we can see it is already installed. That's great. Now, if you remember the video, and if you're old enough to remember the video, or if you've watched it on one of those sort of like cliche flashback things because you're whatever the one after millennial is, then you will know that this is the text that Kelly Rowland's trying to send. So she's trying to send, where you at, holler when you get this, to Nelly, or the character he plays in the music video. So how does she send this? So what I think she does is that she types this into her little sidekick, her little Excel on her phone, and then she goes over to the Automate tab, which is over here. Nope, she doesn't go to the Automate tab. She goes to the Data tab, which is over here, and then she goes to Flow, and a pane pops out from the right, and this will load up all the flows that you have access to. So you can actually see that it's got Excel templates in here that you could use. It's also got the ability to create flows directly from inside here, either via template or instant flows. And there's a little play button here or run button here, and then there's ellipsis to kind of do other things. So you can turn it off, you can edit it straight from inside here, so you can do a lot of things. You can see details. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit run flow. So you'll see that I'm selected this column, this row of data here. So for a selected row, which is this one, we're going to send it. So we'll hit run. It'll go through, it'll ask me to sign in and make sure I've got all the ticks and stuff like that, which is all good. I hit continue, hit run flow, hit done, and then we can go back to our flow, and we can go back page, and we can see it failed. Yeah. What we forgot to do is we need to add an area code, so +44, and then we'll hit save and we'll run the flow again. We'll go to here and we'll hit run flow, run flow, run flow. Always remember your area codes, people. Go back. Ah, yay, it succeeded. We can see that it ran successfully. It said it sent a text message, and we can see all the data that it's given us back from that. And if I look at my phone, I can open it up. I won't show you the text message, but what I will do is I will screenshot it. And we will post the screenshot somewhere here or somewhere that you can see that this thing actually sent a text message. So it did send me a text message. It says, send from your Twillio trial account, where you at, holler when you get this. So yes, that's what this does. So this is the on-demand flow that sends me a text message based on things that we put in that table. So that is one way to do this. That is one way we can send a text message. But this is a very manual way. This is us going in and specifying which one we want to run, which one we want to hit play on, and which row. So can we not automate this a bit more? Well, maybe we can. So here is my automated flow. So what we're going to do with this one is, instead of it being a manual trigger, we've got a OneDrive for Business trigger, which is when a file is modified. So when a file is modified, it's going to look in a folder called text message, which is where I've stored another Excel spreadsheet with another table that has some data in it. We're not going to tell it to include the subfolders now, and we're going to infer the content type yes, because why not? Then what we're going to do is we're going to have a slight delay. Now, I've been testing this a lot. I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, the best way to actually automate this process and everything else. And the problem with this method is that it can actually trigger multiple times. So we're going to do a couple of things in this flow to stop it from triggering more than twice. And we're also going to do some stuff so it doesn't actually send the message more than once. So we've got a slight delay in here, again, just to kickstart this flow and just to make sure there's no other changes and things. So actually what this is for is, this first delay is for making sure that when you've modified the file, that it waits a little while before it goes and gets the rows in the table. So the next thing it does is we use the Excel connector. So it's not the same connector I was using in the previous flow, but this one we're going to list the rows present in the table. So again, we're going to do things like specify the location, which is OneDrive Business, specify the document library, which is OneDrive. We're going to find the file, which is the path to the file, and then again, table one. You can see I wasn't very creative when I made my tables today, so we're going to do that. So once we do that, we're going to get back an array of data. So we'll skip over the terminate block for now. We're going to get an array of data. So the array of data is going to have a list of all the rows in the table. So first thing we want to do is we want to say, hey, if the piece of data in the table is empty, we don't want to send a text message, because we don't want to send an empty text message. So what we do instead is we're going to check to see if it contains data. So here is my formula. So it's just an empty, so empty, and then the outputs of the list rows and the body value. So basically saying, hey, does the table, does the array that we're sending back contain data? And then, because I'm really bad with double negatives and figuring out which way this is, so if this is empty and it is not equal to true, which makes sense in my head, then go down the yes path, else go down the no path. So it's basically saying this empty will return true or false. True if it's empty, false if it's not empty. So if it contains data, then it's going to say it's false. And then if that says it's not equal to true, then go down this path. Again, I'm terrible with double negatives, so that's just the way I did it. Now the next thing it's going to do is it's going to whack an apply to each around this, because what we want to do is we actually want to update the row. Now you can actually remove the apply to each from here if you want. You can just do a first or a last in here. Excuse me. I chose to keep it in, just so we can go ahead and update this value here. So what we're going to do is we're going to update the key here, and added another column into our spreadsheet, which says, hey, look at this text message text, and then update the sent to true. So I open up my OneDrive. So here is my OneDrive for business Excel spreadsheet. If I open up here, we've got this table here, and then we can see there is true. So basically, when we're sending things, we're going to update that to true. And then once we've done that, we're going to send a text message. So again, what we could do, so this one's already pre-configured. So what we could do is we could actually move this outside of the apply to each if we wanted to. It's not going to harm anything to be inside of it right now, but you may want to do that in the future. Now, I did add a last in here. So again, here's my formula. We're going to do last outputs of the list rows present in the table, and then we're going to close that off there. And then what we'll do is we'll use the question mark, which is there could or could not be data present in this field or in this column, and then we're going to get the text message value. So it'd be exactly the same way as you'd write a first or a last. And what we want is we want the last text message value. So what all this does is it looks into this table that comes back from this list rows action up here at the top, and then it says, right, give us the last value, give us the last one in that table, in that array, sorry. So that's all that does. So that just looks at the last message in that array that's coming back, and what it'll do is it'll put that into the text message to then send me as well. And then the last thing I do is actually put a delay on here again of delaying 60 seconds. So what we don't want to do is we don't want this to trigger multiple times. So the trigger is a little bit funny. It can trigger multiple times. What we want to do is we actually want to delay it again. Now I went one step further as well. If we go back to the trigger for a second and go to settings, you can actually turn on concurrency. Now what you usually want to do is you want to turn on concurrency and pump it up to the maximum a lot of the time. That way, if you're doing loops and things like that, turning on maximum concurrency means that you can loop through things faster because it's doing it in batches of, say, like 50. What I've done here is on the trigger, I've turned on concurrency, but then scaled down the degrees of parallelism to 1. So what that actually does is that means that every time you trigger this flow, it will not trigger another flow for until this one finishes. So what I found with the trigger is that it's a little bit finicky. It can trigger more than once a lot. So I've turned this right down so that we're only ever going to trigger one flow at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my terminate step here, which was just here so that I didn't run down the rest of my path by accident. We're going to hit save. We're then going to go back and we're going to turn this flow on. Turn on. There we go. And then we're going to test this out. So we're going to go over to our Excel spreadsheet here, and we're going to say, yo, Nelly, come pick me up in that sick Escalade, if that's how you spell Escalade. And we'll hit enter. And then what this will do is this should trigger my flow. So this should start my flow off. It should look for the last value in this table and then text me this last value in the table. Now with things like OneDrive Business and with things like this, this trigger, it can actually take a little bit of time. So it's not going to be instantaneous. It can take a minute or so to trigger. So we're going to give it a minute trigger and then we'll check in with how our flow's doing.
A few moments later.
Here we've got it. This is our flow that's successfully triggered. We can see it's gone down the condition here. It's applied to true. It's gone, let's update the rows and let's send the text message, and the text message has come through. So one thing I did forget to mention is that I did put a filter in the list rows present. Filter sent does not equal true. So basically filtering on this last column in my spreadsheet here to make sure that we don't pick up anything that is already sent. That's one of the things I forgot to show. But that's why it only brings back a certain number. So that's how it works. So I'll take a screenshot of the text message which has come through. So this is, it says, "Yo Nelly, come pick me up in that sick Escalade." And then we've got it. That is how Kelly Rowland texted Nelly to say, "Hey, where you at? Holler at me when you're here," from Excel. This is a mystery that is 21 years in the making. It is its 21st anniversary this year of this great tech mystery of how it was accomplished. So yeah, if you have any other tech mysteries that you would like me to solve with the Power Platform, let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this bit of a silly video. It was just more something that I wanted to make and something that was going to make me smile. So I've really enjoyed making this, so I hope you like it too. If you did, you can drop me a like, share it with a friend, subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.